The repair shop was small and dark. Tools hung on every wall. Broken machines sat on metal tables. The smell of oil and burned metal filled the air. Sojin wiped her hands on a dirty cloth. She had been fixing the same power core for 3 hours. It was hard work, but she liked it. The door opened with a loud hiss. Cold air rushed in from the station's main corridor. Sojin looked up from her work. A tall figure stood in the doorway. He had to duck his head to fit through. His skin was covered in gray-green scales that caught the light. 4 arms moved at his sides. 2 small horns stuck out from his forehead. He was a Zolarian human, the alien said. His voice was deep and rough. I need this fixed. He held up a broken weapon with his upper right arm. It was a plasma rifle. The targeting system was cracked and dark dot. Sojin set down her tools. Put it on the table, she said. I will look at it. The Zolarian walked into the shop. His boots were heavy on the floor. Each step made a loud thump. He placed the weapon on the table next to Sojin's other work. Then he looked around the shop. His yellow eyes moved from tool to tool. This place is small, he said. Very small. Like everything humans make. Sojin picked up the weapon. It was heavier than human guns. The metal was hot to touch. What happened to it? She asked. Training accident, the Zolarian said. He sat down on a chair near the wall. The chair was too small for him. His knees came up almost to his chest. My name is Taeho. I am an officer in the Zolarian Imperial Navy. I am Sojin, she said. She opened the weapon's side panel. Inside, the targeting computer was melted. This will take time to fix. Taeho laughed. It was not a nice sound. Time. I have much time. My ship is getting supplies. We are on shore leave. He stretched his 4 arms. It has been a long mission, much fighting, much glory. Sojin said nothing. She began taking apart the targeting system. The small parts were delicate. She had to be careful not to break them more. You know, Taeho said, I have fought in many battles, many wars. I have seen worlds burn. He leaned forward in the small chair. Have you ever seen a world burn, human? No, Sojin said. She did not look up from her work. It is beautiful. Taeho said. His voice became excited. The fire spreads across the land. Cities become ash. The sky turns red and black. And the screaming ... He made a happy sound. The screaming is like music. Other people in the shop began to leave. A human man buying power cells put down his money and walked out fast. An alien trader with blue fur looked scared. She left too. Soon, only Sojin and Taeho were in the shop. Sojin kept working. Her hands were steady, but her jaw was tight. I remember one world very well, Taeho said. He was talking louder now. It was called New Sol. A human colony. Very new. Very weak. He stood up from the chair. The humans there thought they were safe. They had no big weapons, no strong ships. Just families, just children. Sojin's hands stopped moving for a moment. Then she kept working. My fleet came out of jump space right above their planet, Taeho said. He walked around the shop as he talked. 50 ships. Big ships with heavy guns. The humans sent us messages. They said they surrendered. They said they had no weapons. They begged us not to hurt their children. Taeho laughed again. We burned their cities anyway. Orders are orders. The Zolarian Empire does not accept surrender. From humans, humans are pests. Rats, you kill rats. You do not make peace with them. Sojin set down a small piece of the computer. Why are you telling me this? She asked. Because it was glorious, Taeho said. I led the 3rd attack wave myself. We hit their schools first, then their hospitals. The humans tried to run. They loaded their children onto transport ships. Slow, weak ships with no weapons. Taeho's eyes became bright. His voice was full of joy. I hunted those ships myself. One by one, my guns tore them apart. The humans inside, they screamed so loud we could hear them over the radio. Even as they died, they were begging for their children. Sojin's hands were still now. She was not working anymore. 20 years ago that was, Taeho said. My first real battle. I was young then, excited to prove myself. I killed 7 transport ships that day. Hundreds of humans. Most of them were children trying to escape. The shop was very quiet now. Even the hum of machines seemed softer. The best part, Taeho said, was when we landed on the planet. Some humans were still alive in the ruins, hiding in basements, in sewers like rats. He made a disgusted face. We hunted them down, one by one. I remember this one human child, maybe 12 years old. She had been burned by our weapons. Half her arm was gone. She could not even stand up. Sojin looked at Taeho for the first time since he started talking. But she still tried to fight, Taeho said. With a piece of broken metal, can you believe it? A dying human child trying to fight, a Zalarian warrior. I let her try to hit me a few times. It was funny. Then I broke her other arm, then her legs. I wanted to see how long she would keep trying to fight. Sojin put down her tools. She stood up slowly. She kept fighting until the very end, Taeho said. Even when she could not move, even when she was choking on her own blood, she kept looking at me with hate, pure hate. I had never seen anything like it. It was ... beautiful. Sojin walked to the front of the shop. She turned the sign from open to closed. She locked the door. The war was over in 3 days, Taeho said. 3 days to kill every human on that world. We left their bodies for the scavenger birds. A lesson for any other humans who thought they could build colonies in Zalarian space. Sojin walked back to where Taeho was standing. She was much shorter than him. He looked down at her with his yellow eyes. That war made me who I am, Taeho said. A real warrior, a killer of humans. After New Soul, I fought in 6 more campaigns. Against your kind, always victory, always glory. Humans are weak, they break easily, they beg too much. Sojin looked up at him. Her face showed no fear, no anger, nothing. Are you impressed, little human? Taeho asked. Do you understand what it means to face a real Zalarian warrior? Sojin rolled up the sleeve of her left arm. Her arm was covered in scars. Old scars, deep scars. Burns and cuts that had healed badly. The skin was twisted and white. It looked like melted metal that had been bent and broken many times. Stared at her arm, his smile began to fade. That's from the war your planet lost, Sojin said quietly. Taeho stared at Sojin's scarred arm. His mouth fell open. The scars were deep and old. Some looked like burns from energy weapons, others looked like cuts from metal. The skin was white and twisted. It looked painful even now. What do you mean? Taeho asked. His voice was not as strong as before. What war did my planet lose? Zalarians have never lost a war to humans. Sojin pulled her sleeve down to cover the scars. But she did not stop there. She unbuttoned the top of her shirt. Around her neck was another scar. This one went all the way across her throat. It was thin and white, like someone had tried to cut her head off. This one too, Sojin said. She touched the scar on her neck. From when your soldiers tried to execute me, Taeho stepped back. His 4 hands moved to his sides. He was ready to fight if he needed to. You are lying, he said. I would remember you. All the humans are new. Soul died. I saw the reports, no survivors. You saw the reports you were supposed to see, Sojin said. She walked back to her work table, but she did not sit down. She stood with her hands flat on the metal surface. Tell me, Taeho, how many wars has your empire fought since New Soul? Many? Wars, Taeho said. We have conquered 6 systems. We have destroyed 4 human colonies. We are the strongest military in this sector. When was your last war? Sojin asked. Tae-ho thought for a moment. 3 years ago, we attacked a human mining station near the Vega system. Easy victory. And before that, 5 years ago, another human colony. They had some warships, but not many. We won in 2 weeks. Nodded. And before that, 8 years ago, a human trading post. Very small, only one day to destroy it. Do you see the pattern? Sojin asked. Taeho looked confused. What pattern? Your wars are getting smaller, Sojin said. 20 years ago, you attacked a whole planet. Now you attack mining stations. Why do you think that is? The door to the shop rattled. Someone was trying to open it. A voice called out in the Zalarian language. Taeho turned toward the door. Taeho, the voice said. Are you in there? Taeho walked to the door. He unlocked it and opened it. A younger Zalarian stood outside. He was smaller than Taeho. His scales were brighter green. He wore the uniform of a junior officer. Junho, Taeho said. What are you doing here? Looking for you, Junho said. He walked into the shop. The captain wants all officers back on the ship. We are leaving early. He looked around the small shop. His eyes stopped on So-Jin. Junho stared at her for a long moment. His face changed. The color drained from his scales. He said something in Zalarian. It sounded like a curse word. What is wrong? Taeho asked. Jun-Ho pointed at Sojin with a shaking hand. Do you know who that is? A human repair worker, Taeho said. Why? Look at her face, Junho said. Really look at her face? Taeho turned back to Sojin. He looked at her more carefully. She was about 30 years old. She had black hair and dark eyes. Her face was thin. There was a small scar on her left cheek. Another scar went through her right eyebrow. I do not recognize her, Taeho said. The data files, Junho whispered. The intelligence reports from New Seoul. They had pictures of survivors, humans who escaped the first attacks. This one, she was on the wanted list. Sojin smiled. It was not a happy smile. Hello Junho, you have grown since I last saw you. Junho stepped back, toward the door. Taeho, we need to leave now. Why? Taeho asked. She is just one human. In a repair shop, what can she do? Sojin walked around the work table. She moved slowly, like she had all the time in the world. Would you like to know what happened to me after you left New Seoul, Taeho? I do not care what happened to you, Taeho said. But his voice shook. A little. I was 12 years old, Sojin said. My parents were dead. My school was burned. Half my arm was broken. You remember that, right? You told me about it a few minutes ago. Junho tried to open the door. It was locked again. So must have locked it when she walked around the table. He pulled at the handle, but it would not move. Your soldiers found me in the ruins of the hospital, Sojin said. They were happy, a human child to play with. They had been killing all day. They wanted some fun. Stop talking, Taeho said. They took me to their camp, Sojin continued. They wanted information. Where were the other survivors hiding? Where were the weapons stored? What were the escape routes? She touched the scar on her throat. When I would not tell them, they did this. That is war, Taeho said. War is not gentle. But I did not die, Sojin said. The cut was deep, but not deep enough. A piece of metal fell across my throat and stopped the bleeding. I lay still for hours. The soldiers thought I was dead. Junho found his voice. Taeho, this is not a normal human. Look at the way she moves. Look at the way she talks. This is military training. Sojin nodded. Very good, Junho. Yes, I had military training. 8 years of it, in Zalarian prison. Camps, prison camps? Taeho asked. Your empire did not just kill the humans on New Seoul, Sojin said. Some of us were kept alive. For experiments. For information. For entertainment. She rolled up both sleeves now. Both arms were covered in scars. 8 years of learning how your people think. How your weapons work. How your military plans its attacks. Impossible, Taeho said. No human has ever escaped from a Zalarian prison camp. You are right, Sojin said. No human escaped. She paused. We were rescued. The lights in the shop flickered. Outside in the corridor, there were footsteps. Many footsteps. They were getting closer. Rescued by who? Junho asked. His voice was very quiet. Sojin walked to a cabinet on the wall. She opened it and took out a small device. It looked like a communicator. She pressed a button on it. Control. This is Shop 7, she said into the device. The targets are secured. A voice answered from the device. It spoke in perfect human standard language. Copy, Shop 7. All sections report ready. Targets, Taeho asked. What targets? You and Junho, Sojin said. We have been watching your ship for 3 months. Waiting for you to come to the station. Waiting for you to be alone. This is a neutral station, Junho said. You cannot attack us here. Attack you, Sojin laughed. Oh, Junho, we are not going to attack you. We are going to educate you. The footsteps in the corridor stopped right outside the shop door. Sojin walked over and unlocked it. The door opened. 3 humans walked in. They were all older than Sojin. All of them wore simple clothes, like station workers, but they moved like soldiers. And they all had scars. The first human was a man with gray hair. His left arm was missing below the elbow. The second was a woman with burn scars covering half her face. The third was a young man who walked with a limp. His right leg had been badly broken and healed wrong. Hello Taeho, the gray-haired man said. My name is Hyanwoo. I run the weapon shop 3 levels up. He looked at the Zalarian officer with cold eyes. I was on New Seoul too. In the children's hospital when you bombed it, the scarred woman stepped forward. I am Myung. I was a doctor on New Seoul. I was treating burn victims when your soldiers threw poison gas into the medical center. She touched her ruined face. This is what your poison gas does to human skin. The young man with the bad leg spoke last. Kongdae. I was 8 years old on New Seoul. I was running to the evacuation ships when your fighters shot at the refugee convoy. This leg has never worked right since then. Taeho and Junho looked at the 4 humans. They were trapped. The door was blocked. There was nowhere to run. What do you want? Taeho asked. We want to tell you a story, Sojin said. The real story of what happened after New Seoul. The war your people never heard about. What war? Junho whispered. The war that ended your empire, Hyanwoo said. The war where we hunted down every single ship that was at New Seoul. Every single soldier who pulled the trigger. Every single officer who gave an order. The war where we learned what you had taught us, Myung added. That mercy is weakness. That civilians are targets. That children are acceptable losses. The war your planet lost, Sojin said again. Outside, the lights in the corridor went out. Emergency lighting came on. Red light filled the shop. Now Sojin said, let us tell you what really happened after you left New Seoul, and what happened to the rest of your glorious fleet. The red emergency lights made the shop look like it was filled with blood. Taeho and Junho stood in the middle of the room. The 4 humans stood around them. There was no way out. Sit down, Sojin said. She pointed to 2 chairs near the wall. This story will take some time. We will not sit, Taeho said. We are Zalarian officers. We do not take orders from humans. Hyanwoo stepped forward. He was bigger than Squajin. His missing arm did not make him look weak. It made him look dangerous. You will sit, he said. Or we will make you sit. Taeho looked at the 4 humans. They were all watching him. Their faces showed no fear, only patience. Like they had waited a long time for this moment, Taeho sat down. Junho sat beside him. Good, Sojin said. She leaned against her work table. Now, where should I begin? Maybe with what happened to your transport ships after you left New Seoul. What about our transport ships? Junho asked. They never made it home, Myung said. She sat on a box of spare parts. Every single transport ship in your fleet was destroyed 3 days after you left New Seoul. Impossible, Taeho said. Our transports had fighter escorts. They were traveling in protected space. Protected by who? Sojin asked. You had just finished killing every human in a 50 light-year radius. Who did you think would attack? Your transports. Pirates maybe, Taeho said. Or raiders. Kongdae laughed. It was not a happy sound. Not pirates USU. Junho looked confused. You were prisoners. children, survivors hiding in ruins. Some of us were, Sojin said. But not all of us. Do you know what those transport ships were carrying? Taeho shrugged. Supplies, equipment. Soldiers going home on leave. Intelligence, Hyanwu said. Complete records of every human colony. Maps of every human system. Plans for future attacks. And something else, very important. What? Taeho asked. Us, Sojin said. Prisoners. Human prisoners who were being taken to Zalarian space for questioning. Myung stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the station corridor was empty. The red lights flashed on and off. Those transport ships had 300 human prisoners on them. Men, women, and children from New Seoul. The survivors your soldiers had captured. We knew those ships would be attacked, Sojin said. We were counting on it. What do you mean? Junho asked. The evacuation ships you hunted, Konde said. The ones full of human families trying to escape. They were not just running away. They were sending messages, Hyanwu said. Every ship that died sent complete data about your fleet to Human Military Command. Ship types, weapon signatures, shield frequencies, communication codes. Sojin smiled. Your soldiers were very thorough. They made sure to destroy every evacuation ship. But they did not stop the transmissions first. We made sure of that. You wanted your people to die, Taeho asked. They were going to die anyway, Sojin said. Her voice was cold. You had made that decision, but their deaths could serve a purpose. Information for the war that would come after. What war? Junho asked. Humans do not have a military strong enough to fight the Zalarian Empire. We did not, Myung said. But we learned very quickly. Hyanwu walked to another cabinet. He opened it and took out a datapad. He turned it on and showed the screen. To Taeho and Junho, look at this. The screen showed a star map. Red dots marked Zalarian systems. Blue dots marked human systems. The red dots were much bigger. There were many more of them. This map is from 20 years ago, Hyanwu said. Right after New Seoul. See how small human space is. See how big the Zalarian Empire is. Taeho nodded. Yes, we controlled 15. Systems, EU controlled 3. Hyanwu pressed a button. The map changed. Now, there were fewer red dots, more blue dots. This map is from 15 years ago, Hyanwu said. 5 years after New Seoul. Taeho stared at the screen. Where are the border systems? Where is the Kelton sector? Gone, Sojin said. All of them, gone. Hyanwu pressed the button again. The map changed again. Now there were many more blue dots. The red dots were much smaller, much fewer. 10 years ago, Hyanwu said. Where is the home fleet? Junho whispered. Where is the capital system? Gone, Konde said. Hyanwu pressed the button one more time. The map showed mostly blue dots. Only a few tiny red dots remained. 5 years ago, Hyanwu said. Tae-ho stood up fast. His chair fell over behind him. This is fake. You made this up. The Zalarian Empire is strong. We just attacked that mining station 3 years ago. We won. You attacked a mining station with 12 people on it, Myung said. With a fleet of 3 ships. 3 ships, Taeho. Do you remember how many ships attacked New Seoul? 50 ships, Taeho said quietly. Where are the other 4 ships? Sojin asked. Tae-ho had no answer. Jun-ho was looking at the datapad. He was reading the information on the screen. This says the Zalarian homeworld is empty. No population, no cities, no life. Correct, Sojin said. But that is impossible, Junho said. 8 billion Zalarians lived there. It is the center of our empire. It has been our home for thousands of years. Was your home, Hyanwu corrected. Past tense. Taeho grabbed the datapad from Junho. He read the screen quickly. His scales turned a lighter color. This says the entire 4th fleet was destroyed. The entire 2nd fleet was destroyed. The 3rd fleet, missing, and presumed destroyed. All correct, Konde said. The 5th fleet? Taeho asked. 3 ships, Sojin said. Yours is one of them. Taeho dropped the datapad. It hit the floor with a loud crash. You are lying. All of this is lies. Human propaganda. Is it? Myung asked. She walked over to another cabinet. This one was locked. She opened it with a key from her pocket. Inside were many things. Documents, data chips, and something else. Mi-Young took out a Zalarian military helmet. It was black and silver. There was a hole burned through the front of it. This belonged to Colonel Rathko, Myung said. He was the commander of the ground forces on New Seoul. He personally ordered the bombing of the children's hospital. She threw the helmet to Taeho. He caught it with his upper hands. The metal was cold. We found him on a mining station in the Outer Rim, Myung said. He was working as a mechanic. Using a fake name, living like a refugee. What happened to him? Taeho asked. He had an accident, Sojin said. A very unfortunate accident. Hyun-woo took out another item from the cabinet. It was a Zalarian officer's sword. The blade was broken in half. This belonged to Admiral Zethmar, Hyun-woo said. He commanded the fleet that attacked New Seoul. He thought he was safe on a neutral space station. He thought no one would find him. You killed him too, Junho asked. Eventually, Hyun-woo said, but first, we asked him questions. Lots of questions. About other officers, about other ships, about where other Zalarians might be hiding. Kongdae opened another cabinet. It was full of similar items. Helmets, weapons, uniforms, all damaged, all taken from dead Zalarians. We have been very busy for 20 years, Kongdae said. Very busy indeed. Sojin walked back to her work table. She picked up Taeho's broken weapon. Do you want to know what really happened after New Seoul, Taeho? Do you want to know about the war your empire lost? Taeho said nothing. He was staring at all the dead Zalarian equipment in the cabinets. 3 months after New Seoul, your transport ships were attacked, Sojin said. But not by pirates. By human ships. Ships you had never seen before. Fast ships, quiet ships. Ships that appeared out of nowhere and disappeared just as fast. Impossible. Taeho said. Humans do not have ships like that. We did not, Myung said. But we built them. Very quickly. Using the intelligence your own ships gave us when they killed our evacuation transports. We learned how your weapons work, Hyun-woo said. We learned how your shields work. We learned how your engines work. And then we built better ones. Much better ones, Kongdae added. Sojin continued working on the weapon as she talked. The first attacks were small. 1 or 2 transport ships. Your military thought they were random pirate attacks. Nothing to worry about. But the attacks got bigger, Myung said, and more frequent, and more precise. Soon, entire convoy escorts were disappearing, Hyun-woo said. Warships, battle cruisers, ships that should have been able to fight off any human attack, but they could not fight what they could not see, Sojin said. What they could not catch, what they did not understand. The red emergency lights stopped flashing. Normal lighting came back on, but the shops still felt dangerous. 6 months after New Seoul, the first Zalarian colony went silent, Kongdae said. No distress call, no evacuation signal. The colony ships just ... stopped responding. When the rescue fleet arrived, they found empty cities, Myung said. No bodies, no blood, no signs of fighting, just ... empty. Where did everyone go? Junho asked. The 4 humans looked at each other. Then they looked back at Taeho and Junho. That, Sojin said, is a very good question. Sojin finished repairing the targeting system in Taeho's weapon. She put the parts back together carefully. Her hands were steady. She worked like nothing strange was happening. Like she was not telling the story of how an entire empire died. The disappeared colonies were just the beginning, Sojin said. She did not look up from her work. We learned something important from studying your people for 8 years in those prison camps. What did you learn? Junho asked. His voice was very quiet. How you think, Myung said. She sat down across from the 2 Zalarians. How your minds work. What makes you afraid? What makes you angry? What makes you make mistakes? Hyenwu pulled up another chair. Zalarians are proud, very proud. You think you are the best warriors in the galaxy. You think no one can beat you in a fair fight. We are the best warriors, Taeho said, but his voice did not sound sure anymore. In a fair fight, maybe Kongdae said, but we did not give you fair fights. Sojin held up the repaired weapon. She looked through the targeting scope. Perfect, she said. Your weapon is fixed, Taeho. It will work better than before. She set the weapon on the table, but did not give it back to him. After the first colonies disappeared, your military sent investigation fleets, Sojin continued. Big fleets, strong fleets. They were supposed to find out what happened. They were supposed to protect the other colonies. What happened to the investigation fleets? Taeho asked. They disappeared too, Myung said. All of them. Every single ship, Hyenwu said. But this time, we left messages. Messages. Junho looked confused. Kongdae stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the empty corridor. We left recordings. Video messages from the Zalarian officers before they died. Messages explaining what was happening to them, and why. The messages were very detailed, Sojin said. They explained how we had learned to build weapons that could kill Zalarians quickly. Weapons that targeted your biology, your weak points. We do not have weak points, Taeho said. Everyone has weak points, Myung said. She touched the burn scars on her face. We had 8 years to study Zalarian prisoners. 8 years to learn about your bodies, your minds, your culture. We learned that Zalarian scales can be turned into poison, Sojin said. With the right chemicals, the scales start to burn. From the inside, it takes about 6 hours to kill you. Very painful. Taeho touched his own scales. They felt hot suddenly. We learned that Zalarian hearts beat differently than other species, Hyenwu said. You have 4 chambers instead of 2. If you hit them with sound waves at the right frequency, the hearts explode. We learned that Zalarians cannot handle certain types of light, Kongdae said. Bright flashing lights at specific wavelengths. It causes seizures, brain damage. But the most important thing we learned, Myung said, was how your military works. How you plan attacks. How you choose targets. How you think about war. Sojin picked up the weapon again. She pointed it at the wall and looked through the scope. Zalarians always attack the weakest targets first. You like to win easy victories. You like to feel strong and powerful. There is nothing wrong with that, Taeho said. That is good. Military strategy. Maybe, Sojin said, but it also makes you predictable. She turned the weapon toward Taeho, not pointing it at him, just holding it so he could see it. We used that against you, Sojin said. We made fake colonies, fake mining stations, fake trading posts. All of them looked weak and helpless. Perfect targets for Zalarian attacks. Traps, Junho whispered. Very good traps, Hyenwu said. Every fake colony had hidden weapons, hidden ships, hidden soldiers. When Zalarian fleets attacked, they thought they were killing helpless humans. Instead, they were flying into death traps. We recorded everything, Myung said. Every attack, every death, every Zalarian ship that was destroyed. Then we broadcast the recordings across Zalarian space. Why? Taeho asked. To make you afraid, Kongdae said. Fear makes people stupid. Fear makes them make mistakes. Sojin set the weapon down again. The recordings showed Zalarian fleets being torn apart by human weapons. They showed Zalarian officers screaming as their ships exploded. They showed the great Zalarian military running away from human fighters. Your people started to panic, Hyenwu said. Military commanders stopped trusting their orders. Soldiers stopped believing they could win. Colonies started demanding more protection. But there was not enough protection to go around, Myung said. You had lost too many ships, too many soldiers, too many officers. The empire started pulling back, Kongdae said. Abandoning outer colonies, focusing on defending the core worlds, the important worlds. That was exactly what we wanted, Sojin said. Why? Junho asked. Because it made you concentrate your remaining forces, Hyanwu said. Instead of spread out across 50 systems, your military was packed into 5 or 6 systems. Much easier to target. Sojin walked to the cabinet where the Zalarian equipment was stored. She took out a data chip. This contains the battle records from the Second Corps War. Would you like to see them? The Second Corps War. Taeho looked confused. I have never heard of any Corps War. Because you were not there, Myung said. Your ship was sent to the Outer Rim before it started. To attack mining stations and trading posts, small targets, safe targets. While you were hunting miners and traders, Kongdae said, we were destroying your home fleet. Sojin inserted the data chip into a reader connected to a wall screen. The screen came on. It showed a space battle. Huge Zalarian warships fighting smaller human ships. At first, it looked like the Zalarians were winning. Then the human ships started to change. They moved faster. Their weapons hit harder. The Zalarian ships began to explode. This battle lasted 6 hours, Sojin said. The Zalarian Third Corps fleet had 200 ships. Look at the time counter. Taeho looked at the bottom of the screen. The battle timer showed 6 hours and 12 minutes. Now look at how many Zalarian ships are left. Sojin said. 10-Ho counted the ships on the screen. 17. 17 ships out of 200, Hyanwu said. In 6 hours. The other battles were faster, Myung said. Sojin changed the recording. Now, it showed a different battle. This one lasted only 2 hours. When it was over, no Zalarian ships were left at all. This was the Fourth Corps fleet, Sojin said. 150 ships, all destroyed, Hal Junho asked. How did you build weapons strong enough to do this? We had help, Kongdae said. Help from who? Taeho asked. From your own people, Myung said. What do you mean? Sojin changed the recording again. This time, it showed Zalarian ships fighting other Zalarian ships. We did not just study your biology, Sojin said. We studied your psychology, your culture, your politics. We learned that Zalarians have very strict rules about honor, Hyanwu said. About loyalty, about following orders. We learned that Zalarians hate cowards more than they hate enemies, Kongdae said. So we made recordings, Myung said. Fake recordings that showed Zalarian officers running away from battle. Officers abandoning their soldiers. Officers betraying their own people. We broadcast these recordings across your military networks, Sojin said. We made sure every Zalarian soldier saw them. The recordings caused civil wars, Hyanwu said. Zalarian fleets started fighting each other instead of fighting us. Officers accused each other of cowardice. Soldiers killed their own commanders. Your empire destroyed itself, Kongdae said. We just gave it a little push. The screen now showed the final battle. It was at a planet covered in cities. The planet was beautiful. Blue oceans and green continents. But the space around it was full of wreckage. Thousands of destroyed ships. The Zalarian homeworld, Sojin said. The last battle. There was no battle, Myung corrected. There was a surrender. Surrender. Taeho stood up fast. Zalarians do not surrender. Ever. They do when they have no choice, Hyanwu said. When all their fleets are destroyed, Kongdae said. When all their colonies are empty, Myung said. When all their leaders are dead, Sojin said. The screen showed the planet again, but now it was different. The cities were dark, no lights. Numbered. Movement? No ships in orbit. 8 billion Zalarians lived there, Junho whispered. Not anymore, Sojin said. Where did they go? Taeho asked. Jin turned off the screen. She looked at Taeho with cold eyes. We gave them the same choice you gave the humans on New Sol, she said. What choice? No choice at all. The shop was very quiet. Taeho and Junho sat in their chairs like statues. They stared at the dark screen. Their scales had turned pale gray, the color of fear. The 8 billion Zalarians, Taeho said slowly. What happened to them? Sojin walked to the shop's front window. She looked out at the corridor. Other humans were walking by. They looked like normal station workers. But Taeho was beginning to understand that nothing on this station was normal. We offered them a choice, Sojin said. The same choice you offered human children on New Seoul. We did not offer the humans any choice, Junho said. Exactly, Myung said. The door to the shop opened. Another human walked in. He was old, with white hair and deep lines on his face. He wore the uniform of a station administrator. He moved like a soldier, like someone who had seen many battles. Changsu, Sojin said. Perfect timing. The old man looked at Taeho and Junho. Are these the last two? Yes, Hyunwoo said. From the ship that attacked New Seoul, Changsu nodded. He pulled up a chair and sat down facing the two Zolarians. My name is Admiral Changsu, former admiral, I should say. I commanded the human fleet that ended your empire. Former admiral, Taeho asked. There is no more need for admirals, Changsu said. The war is over. We won. You destroyed our empire, Junho said. But you did not destroy us. There are still Zolarians in the galaxy, on other worlds, in other systems. Changsu smiled. It was not a happy smile. How many? He asked. Thousands, Taeho said. Maybe tens of thousands. 12, Changsu said. What, 12? Zolarians left alive in the entire galaxy, Changsu said. We have been counting very carefully. He took out a datapad and showed it to them. On the screen was a list of names, Zolarian names. Most of them had red lines through them. These are all the Zolarians who participated in attacks on human worlds, Changsu said. Officers, soldiers, pilots, engineers, commanders, everyone. Taeho looked at the list. There were thousands of names. Almost all of them were marked as dead here. Changsu pointed to two names near the bottom. Taeho and Junho. You are numbers 11 and 12. What happened to the others? Junho asked. We found them, Konde said, one by one, year by year. Some were hiding on remote planets. Some had changed their names. Some had found jobs as mechanics, or traders, or miners. It did not matter, Myung said. We found them all. But how? Taeho asked. The galaxy is huge, billions of worlds, trillions of people. We are very patient, Sojin said, and very thorough. And we had help. Help from who? Changsu pressed a button on his datapad. The shop's main screen came back on. It showed a map of the galaxy. Thousands of star systems, most of them were marked with blue dots. Every species in the galaxy helped us, Changsu said. Every government, every military, every police force. Why would they help humans hunt Zolarians? Taeho asked. Because they learned what happens to species that commit genocide against humans, Hyunwoo said. They saw what we did to your empire, Myung said. They saw how completely we destroyed you. They did not want the same thing to happen to them. So when we asked for help finding the last Zolarians, Kongdae said, everyone said yes. Changsu changed the display. Now it showed photographs. Pictures of Zolarians in chains. In cages, in prison cells. We found them in every corner of the galaxy, Changsu said. Some surrendered when they saw us coming. Some tried to fight. Some tried to hide. What did you do with them? Junho asked. We asked them questions, Sojin said. The same questions your soldiers asked human prisoners. Where are the others hiding? What are their new names? What planets are they on? And when they told us, Hyunwoo said, we let them die quickly. And when they did not tell us, Myung said, we let them die slowly. The photographs on the screen changed. Now they showed Zolarian bodies, dead Zolarians in various places. Some looked like they had been killed in fights. Others looked like they had been executed. Eventually, they all told us what we wanted to know, Changsu said. Taeho was shaking now. His 4 hands were clenched into fists. You are monsters, he said. Yes, Sojin said simply. We are. You taught us to be monsters. You showed us that mercy is weakness. You showed us that civilians are legitimate targets. You showed us that children are acceptable casualties. We learned your lessons very well, Kongdae said. But we learned them better than you did, Myung said. Changsu turned off the screen. This station exists for one purpose, he said. To monitor the galaxy. For any remainings, you two are the last ones we know about. There might be others, Hyenwu said. Zolarians who are not at New Seoul. Who did not participate in attacks on human worlds. But we doubt it. Your people were very proud of their military service. Sojin said. Very proud of their victories over humans. Almost every adult Zolarian served in the military. Almost every adult Zolarian killed humans. What will you do with us? Junho asked. The humans looked at each other. They seemed to be having a silent conversation. That is a good question, Changsu said finally. 20 years ago, the answer would have been simple, Sojin said. You would die. Slowly and painfully. Like the human children you killed. But 20 years is a long time, Myung said. Long enough to think. Long enough to change. Long enough to become tired of killing, Kongdae, said. Changsu stood up and walked to the window. We have spent 20 years hunting your people. 20 years learning to be as cruel as you were. 20 years becoming the thing we hated most. And we won, Hyenwu said. Completely and totally. Your empire is gone. Your people are gone. Your worlds are empty. But victory has a price, Sojin said. We are not the same humans we were before New Seoul. We are harder, colder, more dangerous. The galaxy is afraid of us now, Myung said. All the species that helped us hunt Solarians are afraid of what we might do to them next. They should be afraid, Kongdae said. We proved that humans do not just fight wars, we end them, permanently. Changsu turned back to face Taeho and Junho. So we have a choice to make. About you? About what kind of people we want to be. Going forward, we could kill you, Sojin said. Complete the genocide. Make sure no Zolarian DNA exists anywhere in the galaxy. We could torture you first, Hyenwu said. Make you suffer like you made human children suffer. Make you pay for every life you took. We could broadcast your deaths across the galaxy, Myung said. Let everyone see what happens to species that attack humans. Or, Changsu said, we could try something different. Different how? Taeho asked. We could let you live, Kongdae said. Why would you do that? Junho asked. Because someone needs to remember, Sojin said. Someone needs to tell the story of what happened. Someone needs to warn others about what humans can do when we are pushed too far. You would let us go? Taeho asked. Not go, Changsu said. Stay here on this station, under guard, under watch, but alive. Why? Because the galaxy needs to see that humans can choose mercy. Myung said. Even when mercy is not deserved. Because we need to prove to ourselves that we are still human, Hyenwu said. That we have not become the monsters we fought against. Sojin picked up Taeho's repaired weapon. She held it out to him. Your weapon is fixed. It works perfectly. Now, better than before. Taeho looked at the weapon. Then, at Sojin. You are giving it back to me. Yes, Sojin said. But if you use it to hurt anyone on this station, you will learn that there are fates worse than death. Taeho took the weapon with shaking hands. Welcome to your new home, Changsu said. You are the last Zolarians in the galaxy. The final survivors of a dead empire. Live with that knowledge. Learn from it. And remember, Sojin said, you are alive because we chose mercy, not because you deserved it. The door to the shop opened. 2 human guards walked in. They were armed but not threatening. These men will show you to your quarters, Changsu said. You will have food, shelter, and safety. In return, you will work, you will contribute to the station. You will earn your right to live, and you will remember, Myung said. Every day, you will remember what your people did to ours, and what we did to yours in return. Taeho and Junho stood up slowly. They followed the guards toward the door. Taeho Sojin called out. He turned back. Thank you, she said. For what? For teaching us what we needed to become to survive. Taeho said nothing. He walked out of the shop with the guards. The door Closed behind them, the 5 humans sat in silence for a long moment. Do you think we made the right choice? Kongdae asked. I do not know, Chongsu said. But it is the choice that lets us sleep at night. The galaxy will remember this day, Hyanwu said. The day humans chose mercy over vengeance. They will also remember what happened before this day, Myung said. What happens to species that hurt human children? Sojin looked out the window. In the corridor, normal life continued, humans and aliens walking together, trading, talking, living in peace. 20 years, she said quietly. 20 years of war. 20 years of hunting. 20 years of being the monsters we needed to be, and now, Chungsu asked. Now we try to remember how to be human again. Outside, the stars shone cold and distant. In those stars were empty worlds. Dead worlds. Worlds where an empire used to exist. Worlds that would forever remind the galaxy of a simple truth. Humans do not forget, and humans do not forgive. But sometimes, if you are very lucky, humans might choose to let you live. The war was over, humanity had won, and the galaxy would never be the same.